Janitai, Jai Gauranga Prabhu was the first one in the waiting room. Good morning, Princess Maharaj.
Well done, Jai Gauranga Prabhu. We're proud of you, I think. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jason, welcome. I can recognize you by the top of your head. Just see. Well, and by your name on that. So now I know you're using a big computer with a camera at the top. Oh, well, maybe down. Because that tends to be the nature of those big computers, that they're so tall, we can't reach the top. Okay, Jason, Leelamoy Prabhu, Priyanana Devidasi, Udaram Prabhu, Sevarupa Devidasi. And I know who was the first to join, and that was Praneshwari Devidasi, with the background, a different background of Tulasi, same Tulasi, than sometimes. And this background, also, if I make a bit bigger on the screen. Oh, okay, so it's looking backwards. This is the view that Srila Guru Maharaj sees when he's looking from his samadhi.
His samadhi.
And if you like to, oh, it is pinned, very good. Is it pinned? I do not know.
No.
But, okay, if you just pin for a second, then devotees can see. So where we are, Srila Guru Maharaj's samadhi is directly behind us. And then on the right, there you can see the corner of a building, a diagonal corner. And that building is the Paschatya Sevak Bhavan, which literally means Westerners Seva Building. So Westerners Seva Building. And this was the first building to try to accommodate the influx of Westerners. And this was started in 1981, and in 1982, it was not finished. So it took a little while to get it finished. And because of funds, remember that the temple was poor. And as funds come, then somebody giving something, and then part of the building is completed. But it was, so anyway, from 1982, we can say that it was started to be inhabitable, the later part of 1982 in general. And behind you, you see, obviously, Tulsi Devi is in front. The moat is where the lotuses grow. And on the left, you can see a gate. Gateway is open. You see there's a wall behind Tulsi Devi there. There's a small wall, and then on the left there's a gate. That gate is meant to be closed at night. And this was during the time when Srila Gurudev inherited, actually. It wasn't, he said, these are not my dogs, but he inherited, as it were, from devotees who left from the mat, who went back to their home country presently. Rosie and Ketu. Who is Rosie? Who is Ketu? Rosie was a German shepherd dog, and Ketu was her husband. It was an arranged marriage, and Ketu was her husband, and he was a Doberman, and arranged by Gurudev, actually out of his compassion for Rosie. Rosie grew up in the mat. She was young when we got her, but not exactly a puppy, but she was young to be, young enough to be trained and everything. And in the night, then they were the guard dogs. And remember that, externally, Navadip sometimes can be a little tricky as far as, the different political things taking place from outside. And there were so many different parties doing different things. So anyway, it became a little dangerous sometimes. And so good to protect the Lord's property. This is what I'm really trying to say. So at night, the dogs, they did protect the temple, but they were not allowed into this area, which you can say sanctum sanctorium. This is like the specific holiest places of the mat, means where Guru Maharaj's Samadhi is. And then when you're looking at the Samadhi, to the right, of course, the temple, but the Nat Mandir and all those walkways there. So there was not only one gate, there was a gate at each place where there was opportunity to enter within that area. And so one of the duties in the evening was to close those gates so that the dogs will patrol, but not go walking around the temple areas. So we can see Gurudev's example there of how to practically keep the animal section out from the godly section and where the humans can go. And behind there are some trees and bushes behind that little wall. Behind the little wall, and behind there is where the printing press was. And the printing press was one of those mechanical printing presses. And there the invitations for the mat and the smaller publications were arranged and were printed here. And that means really it was the smaller things, the flyers and various things, and even a little booklet in English, the Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, Volume 1, and some other small things that were printed. They were printed in the town on a bit of a bigger machine. But, so this was quite a small machine, but still, that machine, it worked hard and spread the holy name. And there it was all done by letter press, letter set. So you have to take, or there's maybe 4 workers, but they're devotees. And they're collecting, if you want to write, the cat walked over the mat, you have to take out the capital T, put it in, H, take out from another place, H, put it in, E, and then a space, etc. And then leading comes from strips of lead. So this was all being done there and in front of our eyes, and also we have to go there to do proofreading, etc. So this was taking place right here behind, and with Gurudev's brother Vishvarup Prabhu, he was the head of the printing press, and the letter set part was Kopanika Prabhu, Guru Maharaj's, both the Guru Maharaj's disciples. And then presently, with especially as things got busier and the introduction of offset press, where you don't have to take every letter and put them in, then gradually the necessity for this printing press wasn't there. And another thing was Kopanika Prabhu, who was very dear to Guru Maharaj and very dear to Gurudev. Because of his dearness to Guru Maharaj, actually, he glorifies him for his surrender and his just selfless dedication for Guru Maharaj. Kopanika Prabhu, he was working, he was working here in the printing press and working away. And then one night he went home and he passed away. I don't fully know if it was that same night. I think it was the same night, or he may have had it one day where he wasn't feeling very well. And then the next evening he passed away. But one of the examples of the rather a lot of devotees by now that we know of who've passed away, one example of how unexpectedly and quickly that he left from the world. And a message to us all that we never know when our number is coming up. So this is where we're looking at now. And the trees, you can see a couple of, what you can say, marble islands just behind the circular base of Tulasi Devi, and the marble there on the outside of that moat that does have lotuses in, but the lotuses are sleeping at this time. So this picture probably taken what season? maybe after the lotus season, either after the lotus season or before the lotus season. But Tulsi looks healthy. So my guess is this picture is taken in maybe October time. But behind, you can see two what are oval kind of islands, one each side, just to the left and behind, just to the right and behind. And those contain flowers and flowering trees for the service of the deities and of Guru Maharaj and, of course, Guru Dev, service of the deities and devotees. And I don't know the name of those two trees which are closest to us in those beds, but the ladies would come in the morning, they'd set some cloth down on the ground, and then how they pick the tree is they just shake the tree, and those flowers come down. Many flowers would come down during the season. And somebody can say the name of the tree. I do not know.
I don't remember.
So we're getting a little tour here. And just to the left, where those gates are that we mentioned, just if you look at directly just there where the gates are, the top of both of the gates is slightly obscured by some leaves. Now, they could be from that part of a tree that's like bending over. You can see diagonally, going upwards diagonally to the left. But right there, there is also to the left, or was also, a Batabilebu, very nice name in Bengali, a nice name to remember. Batabilebu tree, Batabilebu. And Batabilebu, it means grapefruit. It was a grapefruit tree. And there's a grapefruit tree there, which was dear to Gurudev. All the trees were dear to him. And we always had a challenge to collect the grapefruit just before the monkeys get them. So we had that challenge. And the grapefruits become quite big, but the monkeys will go, the big Lango monkeys, Hanuman monkeys, they're going there and they're taking, and they have difficulty to run with them too, because those things are big, but they tend to try to get them. They also try to get them just before they're ripe, because they try to get them before the humans take them for the Lord. So they also think, oh, we are Dambasis, we shall take for ourselves. Maybe they are Hare Krishna devotees and think, okay, everything is for the Lord, but if I taste it, then I can tell the Lord how much it tasted. Let us not judge the mentality of the monkeys in the Dham. Okay, anyway, this is where we are. This is where we've joined our back to basics this morning, or morning or evening, of course, depending where you are. And very happy to see this. And in the meantime, more devotees have joined us. And I don't have Facebook on, so I can't see today Facebook. So we have been here on time. It's already 13 minutes in, and we haven't done what we should do at the very beginning, but we have more devotees to greet. So let us do as we should, that is, and as we want to do, greet each other with the verse Vanchakalpatarubhyascha. So let us do this, and then we can say that one verse of Vandanam. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvije Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vas Adi Shri Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. And by the way, welcome to you all, but we can say a little special welcome to Suyash Krishna Prabhu. Welcome, Hare Krishna, and coming from Mauritius, and we're happy to see you and now back to basics, a sincere soul. And here we are meeting. You can see the names of the various devotees. And Lynn also has joined us, Gangalila Devidasi, who will soon have a hard copy, a spiritual copy, sorry, of Prapana Jivanamritam in the care already of Vishaka on its way to you presently when she comes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I so appreciate that. Dandavad.
You're welcome, and it's Vishaka we need to give thanks, and she eagerly and happily is bringing the book to you. So there we are.
Well, I feel very honored and also very touched that I'm thought of and taken care of besides the Zoom times and places. Like, it makes it more real. I so appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, maybe one day we'll also have some opportunity to find you some accommodation and arrange for Prasadam Seva for you in person somewhere in the world, somewhere in the future. And if not, upstairs later. Hare Krishna. All right, we're on Zoom, and I think we had a note from our last Zoom. Praneshri probably kept that note, and it was probably, let me see. Oh, I don't have a note. Why not? I seem to remember something was that, but Jivana is with us. That I can certainly say. Oh, we'd wanted some news from Tradish in Thailand, but he's not with us, right? Today. He was, because he'd been in Mayapur. Yes, they're not with us just now. Maybe they'll join us. That's what I had noted down. But we have Jeev. Oh, yes, Praneshri, please say.
Induleka is here with us.
Jai, so give a special welcome to Induleka, David.
And super special welcome also to Dandi Maharaj.
To Dandi Maharaj.
Gupta, yes, no microphone, no video.
Hidden SCSM 360. All right, welcome Maharaj, and obeisances to you, Maharaj, and to all of the devotees here. And also Sudevi, welcome. She's there in Australia, and definitely we appreciate you coming to join our little gathering here. And I probably I'm sure on Facebook some devotees, so I can't see Praneshri Devidasi will fill us in with the Facebook.
Gopal Prabhu in India, in Navadip, he's sending Dandavad Maharaj.
Jai Nitya Gopal Prabhu. As soon as you mention his name through our ears, our taste buds suddenly start getting excited. Why is this? He's an excellent cook, and he's so generous. He's given his secrets of cooking to countless souls around the world. So Nitya Gopal Prabhu, we appreciate that. And he's born in Navadip Dham, just down the road from Sri Chaitanya Saraswati.
And Maharaj from Australia, special Dandava Pranams from Priya Bhakta Prabhu.
Okay, Priya Bhakta Prabhu, very good. A lively devotee, we're looking forward to having his lively association, lively and sincere. This is a succinct description of Priya Bhakta Prabhu. We appreciate that. Hare Krishna. Oh, I see a little message from Gangalila. Oh, to me, direct. Okay, got it. Hare Krishna. Wonderful. Oh, you sent the message before I mentioned it, I think. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so let us, without further ado, come to our Jivana Devidasi. And she knows we're going to ask her to say a few words. And by the way, we are on Zoom. We like that while Jivana is speaking, or already if you have some contribution or question, something from your life of devotion this week. And please don't be shy, you're with friends.
Yes, we have so many illustrious personalities on this call. So I always love to hear from the devotees on the call. It's so wonderful. And Well, I'll just share a little bit briefly, and hopefully we can hear from everybody, from others. But we've been reading this Inner Fulfillment book, which Maharaj knows very well since he was the one who put it together. This one was, the first printing was actually in India, 1995, right? For the for a special festival, I forget what it's called. It's for the centenary year. Yeah, centenary year of Guru Maharaj. So, and this little book, it's very small, but it is really an amazing book. Actually, I feel like at different times it's even saved my life. We're starting to read it in the mornings on Mondays with Devaki and Gurunga. So, so we were just reading. This is from the second chapter, the Vision of Goodness. And Guru Maharaj is talking about how the soul is immortal. And not only does God exist, but we ourselves are units of the conscious world. And we shouldn't ever forget that. We're not of this material world. We're units of consciousness. And that actually, he's just making it so clear to become reinstated in our glorious position as soul. And he says, how is this possible? You are tatasta, marginal by constitution. So you cannot stand on your own 2 feet. You must have some shelter, either mundane within your mundane identification, or above that, you must have some shelter in the Swarup Shakti land, final land of the Lord. And then he goes on to say that according to the result of our karma, we will be placed in a particular environment. And we must start our spiritual life from wherever we are placed. We must begin our work of conquering all those samskaras, those mundane tendencies that comprise the mental encasement we're living in. So I always think that's so important because, we always want to complain about the environment. Well, if I had this, if I had that, so many ways that my mind wants to complain about everything. But actually, our environment is perfect. In fact, Guru Maharaj goes on to say, we should not only live in our present position without complaint, but moreover, we shall have to consider it as really necessary for our upliftment. And in this way, we have to accept whatever adversities that come to us as the grace of the Lord. We must cope with this positive angle of vision. We must think, this is my real necessity. There is no error in the calculation of the Lord. This test has been extended to me for my benefit. To stand, to face, and cross this opposition is my chance to have my progress in life. This test has been given by Krishna to facilitate my progressive life. And so he goes on and just maybe many of you have maybe read this book, or if you haven't, it's very short, it's very easy to read, but the second chapter is really amazing. And in this chapter also, Guru Maharaj says, this is the advice of Srimad Bhagavatam. Don't quarrel with the environment. Try to be adjusted with it. Correct your own ego. Everything is all right. Mic drop.
And your experience of trying to follow that?
Well, I always like it so much when I hear that, all these situations coming are actually not only a complaint, but they're here to benefit, our life. And sometimes when something's really difficult, or this particular person that I just have a difficult time with all the time, like, not just once or twice, but constantly. And I just think, Krishna, you are so funny. You're putting this person right here because I have to clear out something in my own ego. I have to give something up. I have to clean this up. And that way I will not be disturbed by this situation. But you keep giving it to me because I keep not doing what I need to do for this. So I try to think about this a lot, how I have to think everything is good, everything is perfect, and I really have to accept it as a present from Krishna. Krishna is giving me a present that here, okay, you're always saying, give me mercy, help me out. And here I'm giving you this. This is for your benefit. This is going to help you. So try to accommodate in this way, that whatever I think is undesirable, it's the result of my own karma, my own ego, but by the goodwill of the Lord, he's giving me these tests to help me get out of it. He's always helping us. So.
And this excerpt that Jivana Devi Rasa just gave also, it's another perfect illustration of how Guru Maharaj is getting us to really see the reality elsewhere. And maybe it's not in this little booklet, but elsewhere when Srila Guru Maharaj is discussing and commenting on this matter, he says, this is not imagination. It really is so. It's not that we are to imagine that something is for our benefit, even though all these crazy things happening, and why are you happening to me, the environment, they say, but why do bad things happen to good people?
Yeah.
Well, maybe because good people are coming closer to the exit, and so they need some more, just those final things knocked out of them before they get to the door. So they're ready to go through the door. And I was listening actually this morning. You may think it's early here, but actually I listened to at least half an hour of a talk this morning before coming to the back to basics. And there it was all about like harmonizing with the environment, but not just tolerating, but it's the next step, which is to see that it is actually favorable for me and the best for me. So we have a hand-picked tutor, and he's called Krishna. And I understand, you can say, oh, it's not Krishna directly himself playing with the gopis, as Gurudev would point out. He's too busy to look at us. He's too busy in his Leela. But it's Krishna's expansion, because he can do that. But Krishna is looking after us. And finally, it is Krishna who knows absolutely everything, as well as knowing the individual purpose for every blade of grass, as we have heard repeatedly, as we've heard before. But taking the absolutely positive point of view, and when you're reading that, I'm also remembering, when we came to Guru Maharaj, there was so much about, the environment, and a lot of desperation in the sense of, it's all crazy. You look this way, this way, this way, this way. All things are going on in a very crazy way. But we come to Guru Maharaj, and then Guru Maharaj stressing to us about we must not see any fault in that environment. And environment, you can say hot and cold, wind and all those things, but the environment of, as Jivana said, so many, we can have some difficulties with personalities or something like that. But everything in the environment, everything that makes up our life, it is for our benefit. And we must not make any complaint. We must see it in the positive way. And still, I have to say, I'm still floating around my head or heart or consciousness or remembrance is that example that we definitely mentioned last time, or possibly even the time before, of Guru Maharaj saying, if we find ourselves in prison, we can't complain that we are surrounded by crazy people, bad people, etc. Because we ourselves have got into prison because there's something wrong with us. So this is our association. I mean, that still is rolling around in my mind. And it's one of those things we've read before repeatedly. But this time, for me, it kind of just not only read it, but it stayed in for a little while, at least for these few days or couple of weeks. It's stayed inside, and it's been a point of, yes, we can't complain about anybody or anything. We shouldn't be judging others. Why judge our others? As Guru Maharaj says, useless waste of time. But more than that, this excerpt that we've heard today of Srila Guru Maharaj in the inner fulfillment, it's coming to the positive side. That this association, if we are finding it is like full of thieves and rogues and craziness, it is the best for me. And really, it needs to be taken in that positive light. And this was Guru Maharaj directly with us in our lives, life-saving to take us away from the realm of pointing fingers, especially at Vaishnavas, because we want to always see the Vaishnavas as honorable and take the Vaishnava part of everyone. So this is extremely important. And one day we hope that we will actually, properly feel and not just get glimpses of it, that everything that's happening, it is for our benefit. And so of course, we try to see that way, and we get a little idea that, oh yes, those who are truly saintly, they do see everything in such a manner. Very positive, very progressive. Hare Krishna. So what do you think, Jivana? Who do you appoint to say a couple of words?
How about, is Priyananda on?
She is,
call?
well, at least.
Priyananda is here, yes.
She always has something unique and interesting to say.
Actually, check the chat, because
Check the chat.
she's already there.
She's already there.
Check the chat.
Check the chat.
Oh, well, okay, just before I see Priyananda's, I haven't read it yet, but just before that, Sevarupa Devirasi in South Africa, then she said, today is the appearance of Vakreshwara Pandit, mentioned in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And yes, various verses are there where Vakreshwara Pandit is mentioned, especially for his ecstatic dancing in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. And I think, you probably read it just now, Sevarupa, I think he was quite famous for being able to dance, I think, for 72 hours non-stop. And in my best Italian, I can just simply say, Mamma Mia, which I know is said with a foreign accent, however much they try to say, no, it's Mamma Mia. No, it's Mamma Mia, okay. Anyway, Mamma Mia. I mean, amazing. And you see, that's not exaggeration. Whatever is in Chaitanya Charitamrita is real. And here, oh, by the way, I mean, Wexford in Ireland, the east coast of Ireland. Yeah, I didn't know where it was either before we started, before devotees came here. But now there's an oasis for devotees in the different homes. The devotees have come together here. And Wexford is a little devotional town on the east of Ireland. And I was going to say, yes, but here we're reading right at the very end almost of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the descriptions that are given there of Mahaprabhu's being just carried away with so many wonderful things, with the fragrance from going from the ear to the sight, he sees Krishna, and then Krishna smiles and disappears. And then everywhere he's searching for Krishna, but with the fragrance. And all these things, and the dancing, and so many things that took place there. I was reminded about the dancing part that took place. They're not exaggeration, they're real. And this Chaitanya Charitamrita, mentioning about Vakreshwara Pandit, one of the eternal associates of Mahaprabhu, who especially famous for his dancing, but of course they are devotees, they are doing everything, but his speciality is to dance. Hare Krishna, and the Rath Yatra festivals, his name is mentioned again and again in the groups that Mahaprabhu arranged for dancing around the Rath cart, which, by the way, is coming up soon, Rath Yatra. So yes, very good. So now is the appearance day of Vakreshwara Pandit. And now Priyananda Devidasi, some inspiring from recent reading. So please, Priyananda, please read what you have put in the chat kindly. Hello, anybody home? Or maybe she can't. Oh yes, she can. Yes.
Okay, if you want my native speaker's English, then I will read. So these are just excerpts from Srila Prabhupada's commentary, which somehow caught my mind.
Mhm.
So, when the material manifestation appears very wonderful, this is due to a perverted reflection of the Supreme Sunshine, the Absolute Truth, as confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra. Whatever one can see here, it has its substance in the Absolute. As darkness is situated far away from the sun, so the material world is also far away from the spiritual world. The Vedic literature directs us not to be captivated by the dark regions, Tama, but to try to search the shining regions of the Absolute, Yogi-Dhamma. So another one is, one should understand through the transparent medium of the spiritual master that the Supreme Lord exists everywhere in his transcendental spiritual nature, and that the living entities' relationships with the Lord are directly and indirectly existing everywhere, even in this material world. And the last one. In the material world, the perverted races bring frustration. If these races are re-established with the Lord Krishna, the result is eternal blissful life. And what I like most about this is Guru is like transparent a substance who allows you to see everything in the proper at the proper angle. So through Guru you can see everything as it is. As now you just said that we are not just imagining that it's something like this, that it is like this, and Guru allows you to see this. And about sunshine and darkness, it was also said that actually the light, it's not dependent upon darkness. The darkness is, but it's vice versa. And the darkness is just the spot where there is no light, like this. So very interesting. And about the races, perverted races, like all the relationships that we have, it's just a reflection of the spiritual world. So they're kind of perverted. But when they're in their real position, the result is not frustrating, but eternal, blissful. That's it.
Jai. And these are quotes from Srila Prabhupada and his commentaries. And
Yes.
Yesterday, so a couple of, maybe more than two things come in my mind just now, but yesterday we had a gathering of devotees. We are chanting Hare Krishna and having Hare Katha and Prasadam. Okay, we were doing all the things we can do when we're together, including chanting Hare Krishna together and having Prasadam and having hugs with the men, of course, but the devotees, seeing devotees for the first time, sometimes for a few years because of the COVID and all these things, and meeting up with the devotee family and our God brothers, if we're allowed to say that in this day and age, disciples of Guru Maharaj also here. But one thing came up yesterday was, in the darkness, a healthy, if you sow a seed in a pot and it's somewhere in a dark place, a healthy plant, a healthy seed, as it grows, the plant will grow towards the light. It'll always bend towards the light and go towards the light. And so this was a comment of Pranashish Prabhu. We're happy to mention a very lively devotee here. And he gave that comment. So we need to always be bending towards the light. And this idea that what is the nourishing light for us? It is that light of Krishna consciousness. So we need to be healthy jiva souls. That's one thing. And just another brief thing, because we do want others to talk, and that is, here I've had a few minutes, but when we've been like waiting for something, I looked on the bookshelf, and it's always nice to look on a devotee's bookshelf. And there is a copy of the book by Srila Prabhupada, because just now Priyananda mentioning that these are from his purports, and that is, I was reading a book by Srila Prabhupada of his talks, etc. And then I remembered why I became a devotee, or why I wanted to become a devotee. And what is the book? It's the science of self-realization. And really, it is very good compilation of Srila Prabhupada talking to newcomers, but it's for us all. We are all newcomers in the eyes of Gurudev, Guru Maharaj, and Srila Prabhupada, no doubt. And it's a very good book for us all. And reading his strength, purity, everything for presenting what is what, honestly, not vindictively, but he does use the expression fools and rascals a lot. I'm reminded of that. Sometimes we think, oh no, he uses it sometimes. Oh, there he uses it quite a lot in some of what I was reading. But anyway, I just want to say that reading that, and I haven't read Science of Self-Realization, not fully at least, for quite a while. And I was reading that and I was remembering that, yeah, this is what brought many to devotional life. Anyway, dear devotees, there are some things for us. And at the bottom here, by the way, not the bottom, but in the next message, then Jason is saying, can this accepting everything be misinterpreted and use it as an excuse to permit it? Because everything can be misinterpreted. That's just the nature of this world. And some of the things which are so clear, how misinterpreted they become quickly, then really I'm shocked sometimes. And when I see some things that, we know things. It's just not a case of like interpretation. I know I'm sitting on a chair. I know the chair is white. I mean, there are some things we just know from being in circumstances, and then we hear kind of strangest misinterpretations coming up. So it's the nature of Kali Yuga. It's why Veda Vyas put into black and white the Vedas. It's why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came to set things right again because of misinterpretation. And then you see those who misinterpret, then they may be charismatic, they may have influence. I mean, everyone can influence others, but some can be quite charismatic, and then others follow them. And then what happens? And you start to get, a diversion from what is reality. So everything can be misused. And this Apichet Sudaracharo verse, where it is that verse, I believe, that Jajava Maharaj made a comment, suggestion to Guru Maharaj, so Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Sri Ramanuj, his godbrother Jajava Maharaj, the last devotee to take sannyas from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He said to Guru Maharaj that you are saying that for a pure devotee, then they can do anything and everything, externally. We're not to judge their activities. But then then Jajva Maharaj is saying, he said, yes, I know this is what it is saying, but this is like the inside meaning. This is confidential. And if you put this into writing, people will abuse this. They'll say, oh, I'm a pure devotee. Yes, I'm a pure devotee. Then I can do this and this, pass me over the vodka, pass me over this, that, and the other. And, well, I'm not sure Jajava Maharaj said, pass me over the vodka, but I mean, he made the point that if people will say, I'm a pure devotee, then I can do this. And this is the nature of humankind, to look for some excuse and then to think, oh, yes, I'm pure, I can do anything. The allowance is there. So everything can be misused. But Guru Maharaj said, and I heard his words, and but still, in the Western edition of Prapanajivanamritam, then Guru Maharaj, or Western edition of Bhagavad Gita perhaps, then Guru Maharaj did include that, whereas in the one of the first editions of whether it was Bhagavad Gita or Prapanajivanamritam, I'm not sure, he did not include that. thinking, yes, what Jajava Maharaj is saying, we must be cautious. But then it came within also the Bengali as well, because Guru Maharaj said, but it has to be said, the truth has to be said. And who will misinterpret, and sometimes deliberately, even though subconsciously deliberately. This is another thing with our minds. Our minds can justify lots of things. Sometimes deliberately, for some purpose, and sometimes you can say subconsciously deliberately, whether that is kind of works or not. But they are interpreting because the mind wants something, so the mind is giving some excuse which seems quite justifiable inside. So yes, everything can be misinterpreted, Prabhu, but let's try to keep clearly within the correct interpretation. If we want misinterpretation, we can go to many books. We can go to many places. In fact, if I mention Shankaracharya, then say, okay, let's go and see what Shankaracharya said. Mahaprabhu said, don't go and read what Shankaracharya said. So if Mahaprabhu said that, then I think we can echo that. Please don't go to see what Shankaracharya said. But Shankaracharya very expertly misinterpreted the Veda, but for a time, place, and circumstance. So anybody of us, we can also misinterpret things. So we want to be careful to stay where there is not misinterpretation, but where there is interpretation or expansion, presentation as it is, this channel. And there is that channel. We don't have to go and look at every other, interpretation and compare. If we can recognize this channel of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Sri Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj. It is not, that is also not imaginary. That is real. And those who know it, they know it is real. And so if we can stay in there, then we'll be saved from having to hesitate ourselves to think, oh, this or that or the other. And rather we will get these, wonderful topics that we heard today from reading the Jivanagay from Inner Fulfillment. And on page after page of all of the books of Gurudev, Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, pure presentation of Krishna consciousness with different angles, different showing, but showing the purity, and this is what we should all be giving our attention to, the right thing. And we can't stop others misinterpreting. We can try to be clear with what we present, but as we've said before, that we can't stop others thinking what they think, saying what they say, and doing what they do. So we have to be ourselves and try to make sure that we are staying safely in the right place and not leaving that. And this also comes down to this vision, the view that the environment is friendly, is for a purpose. I must adjust to that and not think that, we can correct all those who we think are not thinking clearly, because somebody also is seeing us and think, well, we're not thinking clearly. Otherwise, we would be at home, which happens to be Goloka Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. Seva Rupa Devirasi being very active on the search.
Yes, Maharaj, but before her post, there is a question in the chat from Priya Bhakta Prabhu.
Okay, if I may ask, the power and fruits of Amanina in our consciousness. Let us not look for the fruits. Let us not think, I will do this and then I will get that. Let us try to actually just simply do these things, and the result is up to Krishna. Because even this idea that that we will get something by doing something. We want to leave it behind. And an example of that is circumambulation of Tulsi Maharani. And many of us, we were used to saying some particular mantras about circumambulating Tulsi, and that with every step, then all sin is taken away, even the killing of a Brahmana. For those of you who may, in your life before becoming a devotee, killed a Brahmana. But anyway, all these, we were accustomed to chanting this. But when we came to Guru Maharaj and the mat, then Guru Maharaj saying that no, we don't chant in this way. Yes, that is one way to approach Tulsi, but our approach to Tulsi is simply as a devotee, that she is a devotee and we give her worship as a devotee, not asking for some fruit for our parikrama, not asking for some fruit for from our worship of her and chanting her glories. And only bhakti is whatever we'll ask if we put any petition, only for bhakti. If we chanting the Maha Mantra, it is only that, oh, may I have some seva opportunity? May I engage in some seva? Please help me to come into association of these servitors so that I may engage in service, like this. Amanina manadena kirtanya sada harihi. So let us honor all devotees. Let us not want any honor for ourselves. And it's the healthy position. So if you want a fruit, the fruit is that we're, making ourselves qualified to get the visa to go to our home. And in India, there was a big yajna. I think 1,000 people attended an expensive yajna by some famous yogis, brahmanas who were doing a big fire yajna for what? Fruit? For getting an American visa. So, we don't want to join that department where we're trying to propitiate the Lord. Probably that case was the gods, the devas, for getting. I don't know if they invited the American ambassador to come.
Did it work?
Oh, I don't. Well, for some it must have, out of 1,000, some must have reported it was well worthwhile. The next yajna you do it, but I don't know whether we can say 1,000 will have got their thing. But still, the good part is some, understanding that the result comes from the Lord. But anyway, let's not go too far into the applying for an American visa department. Right? But it does illustrate how in India, there are so many who think that America is heaven. In heaven on earth, like this idea. And when I was in California, at one of their programs, it was at the Govinda Mela, and one of the main programs, which must have been advertised because lots of people came. And one Indian man was there, and he's a devotee. But he was telling, and he's very bright, and he's got a wife, like 3 kids, and, an auspicious person. But he told me his life of how he worked so hard at school, like his whole focus was to come to California. So to get his education, to get his degrees in what will be acceptable for America, which was in the IT industry, this, that, and the other. And he said, it's only when I came to America, I came across the devotees, and then I already was feeling, well, I've done all this, but what have I attained by coming here? His dream of the ideal place, and then, I can't say what's ideal. I'm not saying California is not, much better than many places, but, his ideal in the dream, he kind of had a bit of a bubble pricked, but at the same time, he met the devotees, and his own culture, his strong impression, maybe Jivana knows him. It's not the San Jose devotees. It was another person who came, wife and I think 3 kids, and I don't remember his name. But he was so grateful that he met the devotees. But he said, how did I meet the devotees? By trying to fulfill my material ambition and fulfilling it, and then finding it's not really what it's cracked up to be, to work in the IT industry and to live in California. No, nothing against California, but that brought him, when he met the devotees, I sparked, okay, our culture is telling about somewhere else, something else. So we are trying to get that visa, but means we're trying to make ourselves healthy to live in that plane of devotion. So to give honor to others and not want honor for oneself. Okay, oh my goodness, time is running by, and Sripad Dangi Maharaj is here with us. So Maharaj, can you, because we have an excerpt, yes, from some Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, Volume 3. Maharaj, would you like to read that excerpt in English? Not so many Russian readers with us, so please give us it in English. And it's Srila Guru Maharaj speaking, and here's an excerpt and something that you could share something with us kindly, Maharaj.
This excerpt from the Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, Volume 3, Chapter also 3, by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Rakshaka Goswami Maharaj. Later on, Mahaprabhu's intimate devotee, Vakreshvara Pandit, came to Devananda's house. He came and had a private talk with Devananda, and Devananda was converted. Yes, I did not know that such meanings may be found in Srimad Bhagavatam. I was influenced by Shankaracharya's teaching that Brahman is all in all. Therefore, I considered these topics of Bhagavatam to be all saguna, all under Maya. So when Mahaprabhu, after 5 years of sannyasa, came again to visit this area, Kulia, here in Navadvip, Devananda fell at his feet, crying, I have made such great offenses.
And Maharaj, a few words in addition. Commentary by Sripad Dandi Maharaj. Purport.
It's yes, it's a beautiful glorification of Mahaprabhu, and also it's glorification of Kulia Gram or Koladvip, because it's a place where offenders are forgiven. Even such offender, we consider Mayavadi philosophy as very bad offense to laws. But still, even Devananda Pandit, he was a Mayavadi philosopher, and he even misinterpreted Srimad Bhagavatam according to Shankara's philosophy. It's a very bad offense, but still he was forgiven by the mercy of Vakreshvara Pandit. So such great force and the mercy of Vaishnavas. Mercy of Vaishnavas is greatest force, and even sinners and offenders will be forgiven by the mercy of Vaishnavas. And we also remember that that before Mahaprabhu met Devananda, but they just discussed, and nothing happened. Then after Devananda, not non-directly, sure, Vakreshvara Pandit, not actually directly. He protected Vakreshvara from crowd. Then after he obtained mercy of Mahaprabhu after this. So, such a merciful person, Vakreshvara Pandit, and such a merciful place, Kulyagram, Kuladvip. Well, our monk was founded by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Rakshaka Goswami Maharaj.
Jai.
Beautiful.
And Srila Guru Maharaj is godbrother, and Sripad Keshava Maharaj. Then he established a temple just down the road, on the way from our temple to the center of the Navadip town. And that temple he named the Devananda Gaudiya Mat in remembrance of these pastimes, of the forgiveness of Devananda. Pandit. And by the way, Devananda Pandit wasn't only just misinterpreting, he infuriated Mahaprabhu, who like so infuriated when he was standing and hearing his discourse on Srimad Bhagavatam. He wanted to go and physically take away his book. And it even says, tear up his Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, how furious Mahaprabhu was and absolutely dismissed him. How much dismissed? Not just, oh no, he's a nonsense, you know, like that. But Mahaprabhu heavily dismissed him. But, as Maharaj pointing out, the mercy of the Vaishnavas, the soft-hearted Vaishnavas, who know this man's brilliant, he just needs to see things in a devotional way. And by the mercy of Bhakteshwara Pandit, then next time, that when Mahaprabhu heard of this transformation and saw the transformation, yes, forget about the past, accepted. Visa granted. Hare Krishna. Visa granted.
And Maharaj, Sevarupa Didi, she gave us this excerpt especially to aid Jason, because it was related to his question.
Ah, okay, very good, Jason. You see, I told you, you're all amongst friends. Friends will help us, each of us out. So we're getting helped out, an example of misinterpretation. Hare Krishna. Okay, dear devotees. And so just very briefly, I am in Wexford and, you know, we're with the devotees. Devotees have come together and, you know, joyfully coming together in a very sweet and clean-hearted mood. And I don't know, I can't generalize about, you know, everyone's consciousness, but, you know, we can't say generalize anything, I suppose. But in Ireland, very sweet and like simple-hearted, sincere, the very kind of nature that will attract Mahaprabhu's attention, which will attract Gurudev and Guru Maharaj's attention too. And so we're happy to be in this association. And we are now 5 or 6 staying here, right here in Wexford, in the house of Kumar and Subhasini and Srinath, including Vishaka. Vishaka Devidas is here. And I did invite, but it's a bit early in the morning still for most of them. So we are here. And okay, where are we? Yesterday, Praneshwari said, oh, where are you? And I think I replied that, well, I thought I was in South India, but I realize I'm in Wexford because really coming here, it's like being in South India. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that devotees in the south of India will be born so many devotees. It's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then here we have Kumar, her husband, like he does like every day, quite a, you know, a worship and just like so steady and so fixed. Like we hear of Raghunath Das Goswami. This is just a reminder of Raghunath Das Goswami. We're not making that exact comparison, but Raghunath Das Goswami's vows, he said, were like lines carved into stone. You can't move those lines, they're there. And so Kumar's also this example, the classic South Indian, you know, example of just doing your puja, doing it also nicely with the cleanness, the organization, the mantras, the heart. It's so sweet to see. And he's a big man. He's a big man worshipping the Lord with humility and so nicely. And an example that the husband, he's hearing about Krishna consciousness, he's very happy, but his heart is with Lakshmi Narayan, and his heart's been with Lakshmi Narayan since he's been a child, and he's happy to hear about Krishna, but he's worshipping happily on his altar, Lakshmi Narayan. And at the same time, his wife, she's worshipping Radha Krishna, Radha Gokulananda here, Radha Krishna and the Panchatattva and our Guru Bhagat. And an example of harmony in devotional life when everything is going towards the Lord. So we're happy to come here. And why South India? Because of course, she can, I don't know if she can only cook South Indian, but I don't think she ever cooks for us anything which is not South Indian. So those of you who know about idli, dosa, sambar, and all these South Indian preparations, and you can relate to the fact that the fragrance, like the fragrance of the house, the mood of the house, everything is very sweet, and the devotees coming, and the devotees are all very sweet and coming and being very devotional. I mean, very sweet. So just to share that we're having this opportunity for these few days here on the East Coast, and then tomorrow going on the West Coast to Limerick, and to the devotees there where they have they purchased an ashram, and will be there next time, and we'll be happy to share a word or two like now of that community. All right.
Maharaj, Dandavats from Michael Madhava, from Mathura Vasini, and Anadi Krishna Das, Marinero Leon from Mexico.
Okay, Dandavat, and happily to have you with us. Happily to have you all with us. And as Mahayogi Prabhu sometimes says, those of you who've made it this far, then to all of you who are with us now and in the recording also, because we do know that many see the recording. For those of you who've made it this far, well done. But I mean, really, we're happy not only to make it this far, but to keep on going in good company with Harikatha, Harikirtan, and Prasadam. So I'll leave you to do the Mridanga and Kartals part of the Harikirtan, and I'll leave you to do the Prasadam part too.
Jai Shri Madhusudana Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai Srila Bhakti
Jai.
Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. And Jai Srila Guru Maharaj Srila Bhakti Roko Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Srila Rupa Nuga Guru Vaga ki Jai. And Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Bhante Tulsi Devi ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Shri Kolladeep Dham ki Jai. Shri Vakreshwara Pandit Avivartiti ki Jai. And Jai Vishwavaranya, universally worshipable Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. All the present day Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Acharya Vrinda ki Jai. All the assembled devotees ki Jai, which does include Sripad Dandi Maharaj ki Jai, Jivana Devidasi ki Jai, all of Gangalila Devidasi ki Jai, all of Prema Sindhu Prabhu, also South Africa here, and Mathura Vasini, all our senior devotee section ki Jai, and to all of the devotee section. You are all exalted, all devotees are exalted, and we keep that appreciation. To all the devotees ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Vancha Kalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Dandavats, dear ones, we'll meet again soon.
Pranamas Maharaj. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Dandavat.
Dhanyavad.